right. I think it's time. All right. Welcome back to Rap and Reason Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Dr. Jeremy C. McCool,
And I'm Earl Hopkins.
and this is episode 16, bro. What's going on?
16, man. We at 16, dog. It feels good, man. Like I said, I've been having people like who I never thought would watch a pod just reach out and show support, show some love, bro. So you just gotta appreciate what we're doing here, bro, because it's magic, man. I keep saying that, but I mean that. Like for
Absolutely.
us to be doing it the way we're doing it with all the other things that we have to juggle in between, like so it's awesome to see it continue to grow and expand, bro, and evolve. Yeah.
Bro, I feel the exact same way, man. And for us to really, I think the reason why this works is because we both are invested in this podcast, doing
Hmm.
well and succeeding. And man, because both of us, like you said, have extremely busy schedules and actual jobs outside of this. And
Hmm.
as everybody knows, podcasters don't make any money until way down the line, unless you are already
Hmm.
famous person beforehand. So it takes a long, long grind to really grow an audience. So the fact that we've been able to grow consistent listeners already this early on in the podcast, man, I think is a beautiful thing. So let's keep it rolling, man. How your week been?
It was good. I was actually in back in my hometown, Columbus, Ohio, and in Cincy. I went there because I like did a speaking engagement for a close friend of mine. Shout out Bam if you're listening. So I just talked to like just people that attended the event about what life is like when you transition from one city or state to the next for a job opportunity, and just talking to them about how to get acclimated. Like you and I have been cross country for new roles or opportunities with you being in school and being a professor or me, taking up a new reporting role or what have you. So it was dope, man, just tapping in with people. And you actually got me hooked to like speaking, public speaking engagements, bro. Like you were the one that kind of gave me the blueprint on how to, handle those type of opportunities or seek them out. So, that's one of my favorite things to do is just to connect with people on that type of level. It is nerve-wracking. It is like a lot of work preparation that goes into it. But usually when you see those connections, when you meet these people face to face that actually see value in the things that you do with the perspectives you have, bro, that's just like an amazing feeling. So yeah, it was one of those dope weekends, man.
Oh,
What about you?
congrats on that, man. And I agree with you the same way, man. Public speaking is there's nothing really like it, man, especially when you travel to do it and you're going to a new city, and being able to really connect with
Mm,
what would have been some people that you wouldn't have met. You might not have ever met,
yeah,
So these are some people, and they came just to see you speak. Well, sometimes not by choice. Sometimes depending on what university they have to get that extra credit, come to see
for
you.
sure.
But either way,
Mm,
they leave with a new perspective after meeting you, man. I'm actually I've been good, bro. So just teaching, working, getting some writing done, and yeah, it's really been
mm.
a good week, man. My birthday is this week. I
Yeah.
yeah, man. I've been working so much, I almost forgot about my birthday, man. So 31, I'm turning 31, which is dope, man. It's a blessing. I feel like I went all out on 30. I did it big in Chicago for my 30th birthday. So now I'm like 31 is such a random age, is that I'm like I'm probably gonna do something chill, but I'm definitely still excited about it, man. And I'm just been working. I'm actually bringing for the hip hop class, man, another journalist that I actually met through you. AR Shaw is supposed to be coming down, so I gotta talk to you about that.
Oh, snap.
He's supposed to be coming down
Yeah,
Monday to speak from Atlanta, man. So hopefully we hoping we're gonna try to get him on the pod. I can't make no promises about that because of our record date, but really dope journalist has a book called is it Trap? What's the last part? It's
trap
Trap
history.
Trap History.
Yeah.
Drop History, man, and dope book. The first book that I'm aware of about trap music as a whole,
Mhm.
a really dope thing, and a dope accomplishment. With us working on a book right now, man, it's always cool to connect with other authors. So, yeah,
For
man,
sure.
dope week, man, and man, I'm not gonna lie, a lot of music to go over, man. A lot of music is
Yeah.
dropping. I'm happy for this, man. I feel like hip hop had a little downslide where it wasn't that much good new music out. And I think some of these
Hmm.
artists are starting to try to roll those, um, get back into the mix of things and roll out songs and albums before the year closes. And I'm glad we've been getting some stuff. So the first thing that we want to review is let's start off with Ab Soul's new joint. So anybody
Let's
who's
do
not
it.
Yeah, anybody who's not familiar, TDE artist Absol released a song called All That. And if you're not familiar with Absol, I definitely recommend looking him up. Absol is a has been signed to TDE for quite some time. He's never
Mhm.
really broke mainstream too much, I'd say. I don't know if he's been on some hit songs featured, but I don't think he doesn't necessarily have any that I could think of big hit records that are synonymous just with Absol. Um,
Yeah, I say he like really takes up that middle ground where it's not underground, it's not mainstream, it's right in between. And I think if you're a excuse me, an Absol fan, you're like a fan. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not a passerby type of thing. Like you're really hooked to his music because he has like he just makes great bodies of work. So yeah, I would say he occupies that that area between main and underground really
I,
well.
I would 100% agree. And I think that's true for a lot of TDE artists.
Yeah,
You have a couple who are mainstream. You have the Kendricks, you have the Schoolboy Q's, but I think most of the other artists are in that middle tier where it's like they're real. If you really rock with hip hop, you know who they are. If you're an
right.
active hip hop fan, you know who they are and you respect their craft. But they haven't necessarily broke to the casual listeners of music.
Exactly.
He released a song though that I felt like was really outside of his box, which was called All That.
Mhm.
What did you think when you first heard this song?
Nah, this joint smacks, bro. Like this joint hard. Like this is a banger, bro. Like this is a typical West Coast banger. Like I love it. It reminded me of like not because bro, this is talked about, it's oversaturated a little bit, but it reminds me of Not Like Us in the production level, and it's just that classic West Coast sound we always think about, bro. Like some lowrider type of music. And it is outside of Ab-Soul's kind of like musical, like, styling a little bit. I think he has more because he's from Carson, California. So obviously, with him being from the West Coast, he has like a West Coast-esque type of style already embedded in his music. But I think this was like prototypical, like G-funk-ish, like old school West Coast, which is something that he's never really done. He's kind of done a more refined, more contemporary, modern, like West Coast sound, which I think someone like Schoolboy Q does, and it makes sense with them being label mates. You know what I mean? J Rock to a certain extent. So this is kind of outside Absol's like frame, but I think he fits right into this sound, bro. Like it's a banger, bro. Like this is hard. All that is hard.
Absolutely, man. I could not agree more. I think this song is hard. I think that it almost shocked me that it was an Ab-Soul song because it's just
Mhm.
typically not the direction he goes with music. He typically isn't making something that is a club banger or something that sounds hard in your whip. Like that's not Ab-Soul is more of I almost look at him more of a almost like a most Def type of figure, where it's kind of like he's going to give you the super lyrical, introspective stuff, but not necessarily the anthems. And I think that this one is one
Right.
that one feels a lot more like an anthem. So I get why you made the Not Like Us comparison because it's very anthem like. It's something that you could see people chanting.
Mhm.
Really catchy chorus. He still raps in there, gives some witty bars and lines throughout the song. So it's good enough where it appeases the lyrical hip hop fans, but it's catchy enough for people to sing along to. And I think that I love to see this from a artist like Ab Soul because this is the type of song that can take him to that next level. That
Right.
I'm sure he wants to enter. So yeah, man, I think it's dope, man, and I hope and I'm looking forward to Ab Soul's new project now just because of this. So
Yeah,
absolutely.
nah. For me, Absol has always been underplayed. Like he's one of the best lyricists under TDE, that TDE umbrella. And he has, like I said, great bodies of work. It's just like, yeah, once you land that anthem, it puts you into a different stratosphere. And I don't think he's always been chasing that. And I think that's half of the reason why he's really been in that middle tier. I've never really saw him and said, oh, he's chasing mainstream. I just think he was just making good art. But this, not to say he's chasing mainstream with this one, all that. I'm just saying, like, it's more in line with that type of mainstream sound that we're accustomed to and we've now latched onto as consumers and fans of rap. So yeah, hopefully it takes him up a notch. And me too, bro. I'm looking forward to that album too. I'm always looking forward to an Ab-Soul project, but if it sounds anything like this, I'm definitely excited. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I want to say this too. Okay, if I had a wish list, if you have a rap wish list for 2025, I need a Kendrick album
Okay, for
and I
sure.
want a Black Hippie album. You know what I'm
Mm,
saying? Because
okay.
like imagine they did a compilation project, Absol hits with all that. Kendrick does another one, and J Rock hops on Schoolboy. Like, bruh, that would be the ultimate like 2025 to start out with. I don't know if it's gonna happen, but that would be my wish list.
I was gonna say that'd be my wish list too. I don't know if we ever get. We got a better chance of getting the Cole and Kendrick album again than Black Hippie. I don't know if we getting the
Black
Black Hippie.
hippie, yeah,
But you know
yeah.
what though? All of them are outside, which
They're
is
outside.
all making music. Like this is a time where all three of them are active and making music consistently. So it could
Mhm.
happen. It could happen now that I think about it. Like so, yeah, man, y'all come through and give us a Black Hippie album, man. I think it's time. I think all of y'all are at a point where I think everybody benefits from it, and I think that it would definitely serve the core hip hop fans for sure.
For sure, on another level.
And it
And
seems like
speaking of that, oh yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, and I also think that it seems like that's Kendrick's goal is to kind of go back to the purity of what hip hop is known for, and get back to the fundamentals and the back to the lyricism. It seems like that's what Kendrick has really been pushing. So that's one way to do it, is to put emphasis on the other artists that are your peers or your partners who are lyricists, to put that light on them. So yeah, shout out to them.
Yeah, man. And speaking of that, another Cali legend, another Cali artist, Tyler the Creator, he dropped a single, Noid. How did you feel about Noid on first listen?
You gonna just throw that one on me like that? Okay, I see what you're doing. I see what you're doing. As I have said on this podcast before, I am not an eye future connoisseur. Okay, I'm not saying that they aren't talented. I'm sure they are. I've never been on the eye future wave. I just kind of missed
Mm,
that era because of their antics. Kind of swayed me away from listening to their music and really taking them serious as hip hop acts. So I never really delved that deep into it. Um, when I first heard this song, I'll start with Love. I could
okay.
see I could see it in a commercial or a movie. It
Mm,
definitely sounds like a movie soundtrack song. I will 100% say that. And I
mm,
don't think that the song is bad.
yeah.
Do think that it's a song that I never want to hear again. Same vein- in the same vein. So it's a double-edged sword. I don't think it's a bad song. I think it's well produced. Um, I feel like if there was more rapping in it, I might have liked it better. There's only like these
Mm,
little small 30, 40-second snippets of rapping at the beginning, while it's like towards like the middle and then at the end. So there's not a lot of rapping in it. It's very instrumental and instrumental focus. But I don't
yeah.
think it's bad. I just think it sounds like a movie soundtrack song. It doesn't sound like something that like would be in my playlist and that I would want to
Mm,
listen to outside or in my car or working out or doing anything really in the day. So it's
mm,
not my type of music that I enjoy, but I don't think it's bad, and it's well produced. It's well produced to the point where I'm still looking forward to hearing what the album sounds like.
mm.
What
Yeah. And
what did
I
you think?
and I agree. I agree. Like I'm a huge Tyler the Creator fan. Like from everything from Goblin up until his last project. Even the deluxe version of it. For some reason, it's the name is escaping me, but huge Tyler the Creator fan, always have been. Of course, like many like Future fans or Tyler fans that have kind of like didn't catch on until his later work. The whole Yonkers eating roaches thing, that for me threw me off. I was like, this dude weird. But once I actually tapped in and understood his level of artistry, I was in creativity, I was like, okay, he's a little offbeat, but that's what makes him who he is. This song is another version of that. It's not a typical song that I would think to be a single. It does have that movie soundtrack, eerie, instrumental, heavy, like type of vibe to it, where you can tell in the context of an album, this probably is more of a sensational bite, not sensational, but just like it makes more sense for it to be released in the context of an album versus just something as a Lucy. So I don't know really how to feel about it at this point. I just like from listening the first time, I'm like, I probably wouldn't click on this again, but I wouldn't be opposed to hearing it again at all. I just wouldn't listen to it solely or go to a project to listen to it on its own as a standalone track. But yeah, it's classic Tyler. Like it's kind of the same instrumental or style as like Igor or like some of his more recent projects even before then. I'm trying to think of his album that came out in 2017, which I love. Um Dang, what is that? Man, let me look it up. But anyway, so yeah, this is classic Tyler though. Because he composes his music, he produces, he mixes, he does a lot of things. Reminds me of Cherry Bomb a little bit in the style. But yeah, this is just let's just wait to Flower Boy. That's the album I'm thinking of, which I love. That's my favorite Tyler Creator album. But anyway, I'm looking forward to what comes after this. I think that'll really be a telltale as to what we can expect from him. But yeah, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's a great point that you made about what it will sound like in the context of the album. It seems like
Mm,
based on like even the visuals that he's released thus far, it definitely seems like he's going with a theatrical type of project. And sometimes when you have those type of projects, the actual song within the context of a storyline, or maybe if it's a themed album like that that is telling a
mhm,
story, then I could like it more in the context of an album. Right now, it just seems very random and it doesn't
mm,
as a standalone song, it wasn't that enjoyable for me. But within the context of an album, it might be. So yeah,
yeah.
still looking forward to the project and seeing what that will sound like for sure.
And what I love about Tyler is like, unlike other mainstream artists, because I mean, he's a Grammy winner. He's like, he collaborates with artists across genre. He's a household name. So what I love about him is that he still puts out consistent music because that's what I want out of my favorite artist is consistency, but not oversaturation. And I feel like he like right there, like he fits right in between there, really well. So this is about the time. He usually puts out an album every 2 to 3 years. So this is about that time where we can expect something. You mentioned like this sounds like a soundtrack type level type of single or track. I agree. Tyler Creator is someone who I can see in the future going into filmmaking on some A24 type level production. You know what I mean? I could see him because he just has a visual eye. You can see it in some of his music videos. Again, it's offbeat, it's off center, but I think that creativity can kind of span in different areas outside of music, and he can do it on a high level. He's already into fashion. Obviously, he's been doing this music thing since he was a teenager, in California. So, yeah, man, I'm excited to see what comes of this and many more. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, absolutely. So we'll see what's up next, man. There's an album that we have to get to that was recently released, and it's by Big X the Plug.
Yes, sir.
And the name of the album is The Largest. Now, I want to start off with this specific song, and not a song, but album. This
Mhm.
particular album to me, I have to say, which I don't know if you would be shocked by or not, but man, this is probably one of the more enjoyable projects of this year for me. Um,
Wow, I
yeah,
am surprised.
I figured you might be. Like, I had a good time
Mhm.
with it. Like
Yeah.
I really enjoyed this album. This is one. This has a few songs that are gonna make it in the gym with me. That are going to be in the car. Like, it has several records that I
Mhm.
really love, man. And I first heard of Big X the Plug. He had a song called Texas.
Mhm.
Somebody who I knew from Texas actually is the one who introduced me to the song, and I was like, "This is hard." Like, he took like a old Western type of beat and kind of flipped it into being more of
Mhm.
um, a trap type of song and hard. And the same thing with this, man. Number one, one of the biggest things I noticed about this is I love the production. I got to shout out Bandcamp, who had a few of these tracks are produced by Bandcamp, I know, but the
Oh
production on it, I
wow.
think, is A1. I'm actually really shocked that they were able to get the samples on this clear because there are some expensive
Facts.
samples on this album. So I'm
Yeah.
like, I mean, and they range, I mean, from the Law and Order theme song was
Yeah.
sampled in this
Yeah.
album. The
Hmm.
Isley Brothers. I heard Earth, Wind, and
Yeah.
Fire. I heard Contagious by Ronald Isley. I heard, I mean, there
Yeah,
are some even the first track, sampling 3 6 Mafia Stay Fly, like
yeah.
a lot of big samples. And I think that's one of the reasons why I enjoyed it so much, because it kind of took you on a journey of through all of these different samples. And I'm
Mm,
not gonna lie, he just has a dope rap voice to me. Like
yeah.
he has a great sound. So some of the standout records for me on this one would definitely be The Largest, the title track. Definitely was
Mm-hmm.
one that I really liked. Therapy Session was one I really liked.
Hard.
I thought Therapy Session was hard. I like the fact that he did it kind of like having a therapist ask a question and then him rapping what the response would be to that question. I thought it was really, really catchy.
Mm-hmm.
Law and Order, the one that samples the Law and Order
Yeah.
theme song was fire. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, man, Story of X. There's just a lot of there's a hand. The large majority of this album I enjoyed. The only
Mm.
and then I'll give a critique afterwards. But yeah, overall, I liked it. What'd you think?
Yeah, no, I liked it too. I don't know if it's in I would consider it among my favorite albums of the year, but I will say it's it's definitely entertaining, bro, from pretty much start to finish. You know, like there's songs like you mentioned half of the songs I really like, bro. I even like the intro, Take Care,
Yep.
Change Me. I love Therapy Session, like you said, Planting Seeds, I rock with. And of course, not to be confused with the largest, the largest, the title track is one of the biggest or the best tracks on here too. So yeah, man, like you're right. He does have like that cadence, a certain flow and voice that just really stands out. It kind of reminds me, it doesn't remind me of Maxo Cream to the core, but it does. There's like fragments of it. So him, I'm assuming he's from Texas. I actually don't know that much about Big X the Plug. Is he from Texas?
He's from Texas. I can't I don't want to
I don't
miss.
know what
I
city
believe
though.
it's Houston or it's either Houston or Dallas, one of those. But I want to say Houston.
Yeah. So like him and Maxo Cream are similar in that way because he's from Houston. So yeah, like I could see fragments, elements of him, and I rock with Maxo Cream heavy, always have. So I think he just has that down south Texas like type of like you could just hear it in him, you know what I mean? And it's really reflective on his project, bro. He did his thing pretty much from start to finish. So it surprised me a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. I heard singles. I think actually one of the songs on here, I think it was or Back on My BS. That was one of the first songs I heard from Big X the Plug. So I heard it, didn't think much of him in that way. I didn't think he would come out with a project like this, but that's just me underestimating his ability, bro, because this project is solid.
Yeah,
Solid.
absolutely, bro. And just
Mhm.
riding to it, man. It was a couple songs that just made me make the like it that.
Yeah.
But if people who are
Yeah.
seeing it, you can see it. But for those who listening in audio, just a stank face listening to the songs, man.
Yeah.
It is that and I don't know. I think I just feel his music, man. I don't know if it's the voice, it's the soul samples that he's using, but also even though you can label this gangster rap, trap rap, whatever you want to label it, there
Mm,
is substance in it. You know what I mean? It's not
for
just
sure.
meaningless raps about nothing. Like he's putting in his life stories in it. There's storytelling. There's a message about what he's going through. There's there's pain. There's a lot of other elements that I hear when I'm listening to it that isn't just senseless killing or any of that stuff. Like it
Mhm.
has more substance than that within it. So yeah, man. And like I said, the production is hard, man. And like I said, I like Bandplay as a producer. He produced a nice amount of these songs. Bandplay produced a lot of the Young Dolph songs that I liked, and a lot of the Key Glock songs
Mhm.
I like as well. And yeah, man, like I said, I think it's solid. The one thing I will say as a critique will be, I would like to see him switch his flow a little bit more. I think
Yep.
that would be the biggest critique. Is while the flow fits his voice so well, I can understand why he
Mhm.
does it, and it fits to a lot of different production, kind of like the baby. What was the critique about the baby early on, which was like, well, he needs to switch his flow more, but it was like, yeah, but it works for him. So it's like
Mhm.
it's hard for them to want to switch it. Like it's one of those if it ain't broke, don't fix it for a lot of rappers.
Mhm.
But I think if he ventures outside of playing around with different flows and different pockets even more, man, I think it'll take it to even another levels. But Yeah, all in all, man, I have to say
Mhm.
it was a project that I really liked. Like when I was listening to it, I was like, this is solid. And I even like I like that he has Wallow doing the snippets throughout. I thought that was
Yeah.
cool, you know, kind of it added another little storytelling component to it. Having Wallow do these like kind of motivational speeches in between the songs.
Hmm.
Oh, it's cool.
Yeah. And another artist that also like brought in Wallow, who for those that don't know, he's in Philly. He's kind of like the what would you say, like one of the bigger motivational speakers in Philly. I've gotten a chance to interview him, and everybody I've talked to who's gotten to know him or connect with him as well say this is him. Larry June also had him Wallow 267 on his project too. So it kind of bleeds into that element you were talking about where yeah, this may be harder, like Southern trap songs, with some soul into it, but it also has conscious messaging into it. And so Wallow's connection and addition into it really speaks to that as well. You can tell Big X the Plug really thought this project through, how all the songs are sequenced. It makes sense. And some of the themes are really closely tethered together, bro. So you gotta appreciate that. I appreciate stuff like this.
Yeah.
Because again, we'll talk about another album where it's like I don't like when people just kind of force feed me the same messaging or like vibes over and over again because you get bored, you skip tracks, you kind of grow tired of like some of the elements of the project. But I think this was like a tight, really like um just closely strategized like type of album, bro. And I like it. It surprised me, but I like it. You're right. The flow kind of gets a little. It kind of he's doing it. If he just switched it up, I think it would bring another dynamic to the album. But it's still really solid, man. Shout out Big X the Plug, man.
Yeah, definitely shout out Big X the Plug, man. And I definitely agree, man. And just like I said, I'm somebody who pays attention to messaging. And a lot of times rappers get a bad rep for telling their story, but I don't think this has a lot of senseless things in it because even when him
Yeah,
talking about how he used to sell drugs, it's usually almost every time I think I heard him say it in the song is past tense. It's like I used to
right.
do this and now I do this. It's like,
Hmm.
it's more so storytelling than just songs just with a bunch of senseless crime in it. You know what I mean? And like I said,
Yeah, he talks about his daughter too, like trying to make a life for her and his children. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
inspiring stuff. It's motivational stuff too.
absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, man, I gotta shout out Big X the Plug. If you have not heard of him or really listened and dived into any of his music, man, I strongly recommend it. So yeah, shout out Big X the Plug. And there's another project that we have to cover.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
And this is Rod Wave. We've talked about Rod Wave a little bit in this on this podcast before. And we really want to talk about his new project called Last Lap. Now, what did you think on first listen of Last Lap?
I like it. It's classic Rod Wave. For those that aren't familiar with his music, he is kind of like it's very melodic, very like he'll pull your emotional strings, and he does that while still giving you some hard-hitting tracks as well. But it's really melodic bass. And he's been building steam for a while, I think, with like some of his independent releases and albums and everything else and singles. One of my favorite songs by him, and I would recommend anybody who hasn't heard him, is Turks and Caicos, bro. Like that's a summer anthem to me. That's a vacation anthem. Like that's the type of song where you get your little boohoo man two piece in Miami with a bucket hat, and you just set sail on Miami Beach or something, bro, with this playing in the background. So yeah, Rod Wave is like he was one of my favorite artists more so during the pandemic. That's really when I got kind of hooked to his music. And so I think the last lap is just another dose of just what you would expect, especially for Rod Wave fans. I think the songs that I personally like, I love not the title track, but the intro track, Turtle Race. I love the title track Last Lap too. F Fame with Little Yachty and Little Baby is one of my favorite songs on this whole project. And there's a few others that I really like. And I won't critique now. I'll just kind of like, talk about the positives. I think this is versatile. I think Rod Wave is a versatile artist. So he's able to kind of dip his toes into the melodic songs, really like fluidly and just like kind of effortlessly, but also go into like a song like F the Fame and it hits just as hard. And he really hits those emotional elements as well, man. So this is like A solid project. It's not my favorite Rod Wave project, and we'll get into why a little later. But I would say overall, I mean, it was solid. It was solid.
And I was trying to hold in and not laugh when you said that you were listening to it during the pandemic because it was like the one time when everybody's sad is when you chose the time that the Rod Wave music is crazy. Um,
Yeah.
listening to Rod Wave when you locked in is crazy, but but I will say I agree, man. I think it's a solid project overall. I think that there's a few songs that I really like on here. I think that it's definitely what you would expect from Rod Wave. I think he kept true to
Hmm.
his sound. I think it's very uh, lower tempo, lower BPM, with
Hmm.
melodies over it, and him really speaking on his pain and his life and what he's going through. And I think that that is why people gravitate to Rod Wave's music is because it's pain music. It's the same reason why people gravitated to the blues. It's the same reason why
Yeah.
hip hop fans gravitate to Kid Cudi. I always do the Kid Cudi comparison because I think that he is that for this generation.
Mm.
He is that person who's making the slow, heartfelt, transparent, and vulnerable music for this generation of people to really listen to when they're going through things. So on that front, I think that it was impactful, and I think that some of my favorite
Mm.
songs on here. I like the intro track as well. Um,
Mm.
I like Nevermind. My favorite song on here is actually Federal Nightmares. I think it's a
Mm.
dope, well produced song. It's
Mm.
well thought out. Good lyrics in it. I think that's a standout one for me. Is Federal Nightmare. Waited Too Late. I liked Dare. I liked. Um, yeah, man. I think that there's a handful of songs on here that I really like. I will say that some of them bleed into each other. I don't think that this project needed to be 25 or 26, however long it was songs. I think that it was a little way too long. And I think that
Yeah.
the reason why I say it was way too long is because one thing that I think, it's hard to tell somebody to change this because clearly he's using music as an avenue for him to vent. So from that perspective, I get why there's this many songs, and I also can understand why the messaging is similar in the songs. But from a consumer standpoint and somebody who's just listening to it, a lot of the songs sound like he's telling the exact same story. And he's not only telling the same story, but he's telling the same story over production that sounds similar. So on that front, I think the songs start just bleeding into each other, and it's just like one long song. And I think that at some points, it gets repetitive as far as that goes.
Mm.
I think him hooking up with some more writers. I'm not sure if he writes all his music. I would assume so, just by
Mm.
how heartfelt it was. But I think him working with some other writers might help just expand. It's not expanding what he's talking about because it's his life, but giving him new ways to talk about his life, if that makes
Mm.
sense. I think we can
Yeah.
take it to the next level. So like I said, I think it's good, but I definitely think that it's repetitive for sure. But I think that there are some songs on here that are gonna impact some people in great
Mm.
ways, and I think it's gonna help some people get through some things. So for that, I think it's a good album.
Yeah. Yeah. Like it's just too long. It's bloated. It's a bloated project. And what's crazy is it's only an hour and 7 minutes. That may sound long to like I think new age listeners, but that's like kind of standard for most projects. I think what makes this feel so much longer than it really is the fact that it's not really broken up. It sounds the same. It sounds like you said, just one long song at a certain point. I don't know if writers would benefit him because I don't think he's a bad writer. I actually think he's a solid writer who, like you said, is able to eloquently talk about, not eloquently, shit, but I write too much, y'all. Like that's why I keep throwing these word salads together. But anyway, he knows how to like really express his pain really well. And he knows how to connect with people on that level. That's why he's gotten as big as he is. He's actually performing at Wells Fargo next month here in Philly. So he has that audience and he kind of has that Kid Cudi Juice World type of like following and element about him. I just think he needs to get with a new mix of producers because I think they can help kind of package his lyrics in a new way to make him kind of break out of his norm. You know what I'm saying? Because he sounds the same as he did when I first heard him during the pandemic, bro. Like almost 5 years ago.
And
Sounds exactly the same. he has those blues elements with mixed with like some other melodic elements and with trap. He knows how to combine it well, but I think he needs to switch it. He doesn't have to. He's doing fine. But I'm saying like as someone who likes his music and can see areas where he could grow, I could see him just hooking up with other producers and other artists that can kind of get more out of the talents that he already has. I think that's what he needs. You know what I mean? Because it just sounds much of the same. But if you're a Rod Wave fan, that's probably exactly what you want.
And this is the reason why I say what I say about writers.
Mm,
Reason why I think writers is the problem is because when it's different when you're a rapper. If Rod Wave was solely a rapper, then I would say, yeah, just keep writing your own stuff. But when you're a singer,
mm,
it's a little different because even though I think he's a good songwriter, I think when you use the same, we're all limited by our vocabularies. We're
mm,
limited by the amount of words that we know and can place in a sentence. So I think in that case, there's a lot of he may say I'm in pain or I'm hurt, but
mm,
he there are other ways to say I'm in pain and I'm hurt instead of just saying I'm in
mm.
pain, I'm in hurt. And I feel like he uses the
True.
same words throughout different songs.
Mm,
A lot. It's just as far as the words he's using. And I think that is what makes it even more repetitive. I definitely think it's the production too, but I think with the
yeah.
writing, I think that because he's doing a more sing-songy style, I think a writer
Mm,
can just. It's not that think anybody needs to write his songs, but I think there can be somebody else to
mm.
say, "Hey, how about you say it this way?" You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
having somebody push him that way, or hey, how about you say it like this, or when you tell this story, how about you add in this part? I
For
think
sure.
it's somebody to kind of push him to go further. But like I said, I think it's good. I think that he's definitely feeding his audience. Like the first time I heard Rod Wave, I agree with you. I think that this sounds like the same thing that I heard when Rod Wave first came around,
It's the same thing.
which is good
Yeah.
music, but it's not elevating. Um,
Right. And it has a cap to me, audience wise, because this is gonna hit like somebody like emotionally that's at a certain age or at a certain place in life. And Rod Wave is still young, so I don't want to like put an age on him or whatever on his audience. I'm just saying like it's almost the same kind of thoughts I have about, and I know this is a hip hop podcast, but we listen to R&B probably as much, if not more, than we listen to hip hop for real. Like it reminds me of Bryson Tiller, where I enjoyed his music at 18, 19 years old when I was in college and I heard Don't for the first time. Me now at 27, I'm not listening to that because I'm like, you're not really giving me anything. This is geared towards someone of adolescence. Like this is a young love where I'm looking for like something a little bit with a larger bite. And I think that's kind of the same thing with Rod Wave. I know you're in pain. I know you're emotional, but why? Like, like you know what I'm saying? Can you expound upon that? Can you go a little deeper creatively? You know what I mean? Can you dig deeper into your musical bag in order to kind of relay the same messages? So I agree. You got a point. I'm not gonna lie to you. You got a point.
yeah, that's all I think. It's just taking it to the next level. It's okay,
Hmm.
you're hurt. What are you doing about it? And what steps
Yeah,
are you taking? How's it impacting your life and your family? How's it, I just think that he can tell deeper stories. He's definitely
for
being
sure.
vulnerable, and I think that's why he's built as
Mhm.
large of a fan base as he has. Is because you
Yeah.
can tell that he's really expressing himself and everything he's going through it within the songs. But I think just as an artist,
Mhm.
I think that there's a new I think that there's an evolved version of Rod Wave that I'm hoping to
Mhm.
get to in the near future. So yeah, but definitely still a solid project. I definitely still think if you're a Rod Wave fan, you're gonna enjoy the album. It's because
For
it's
sure.
still well produced. It's still what you would expect from Rod Wave. So yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, so two solid albums. We got to review this one, and then there's a few other things that we need to touch on.
Yeah.
One is something that I'm definitely excited for us to really even mention, man. A Tribe Called Quest were finally inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, man. What you think about that?
Man, like first of all, long overdue. I don't know what the like what the time limit is. Like almost like how in the NBA you can't be Hall of Fame eligible into a certain time period from your last NBA season. I don't know how it works musically, but I would have thought that a Tribe Called Quest would have been inducted like 5, 10 years ago at least. You know what I'm saying? But nah, this is a celebration for hip hop, bro, because a Tribe Called Quest They might be my favorite hip hop group of all time. They
Really?
probably are.
Okay.
I was listening to Low End Theory at 12 years old, bro. Like, I love that album, Midnight Marauders. Like, those two albums, at least those two albums are some of my favorite among hip hop groups, probably, period, bro. It's a masterclass in production, lyrical content, and just like chemistry between multiple contributors, bruh. You know what I'm saying? Like that's like peak hip hop groupism to me. So yeah, man. And just iconic things like the Midnight Marauders, like cover art, for example. Like that's iconic, bruh. Like,
Legendary.
you know, legendary, bro. The one part that saddens me a little bit is I wish Five Dog was here to like see it, you know what I'm saying, and feel it, experience it. Because he's one of my favorite kind of underrated MCs. So man, it's beautiful, bro. It's a beautiful moment for hip hop. To be celebrating this type of light, especially with a group as influential, as a Tribe Called Quest. So yeah, bro, I can't feel nothing but happiness for this moment in rap. Yeah.
Absolutely, man. A beautiful moment for hip hop. I would
Mm,
have to agree with you there. I thought that it was a beautiful moment. Dave Chappelle was the one who got to actually present them with the award, which I thought was very suiting. For those who don't know, Dave Chappelle has always been a huge advocate for hip hop and
mm,
really has, brought a lot of them onto the Dave Chappelle show when he had it, and really showed a lot of love to hip hop in that way. And I think that, man, well deserved. And I would agree with you. I think that I don't know what the requirements are to get into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but
mm.
this definitely feels long overdue for the
Yeah.
impact. They really shifted the sound of hip hop and how far hip hop could go creatively. And I think that they
Mm,
took that to the next level. My first time really even hearing Tribe Called Quest was when I was a kid. Man, my mom used to play Scenario all the time. Like that was the
yeah.
main song on my mom's playlist was Scenario, and I remember listening to it like this song is crazy, and then Busta Rhymes verse and it's
Dude.
just a moment. And then I didn't even tie it in immediately as a kid, but the next time I heard it, Tribe Called Quest after that was the Wayne's Brothers theme song was Electric.
100%.
That was,
Mm,
when I tied the two together, I was like, oh, this is the same group who made both of these songs. And that made me
mm.
dive into those two albums that we discussed. And yeah, man, I think that they're just one of one type artists. They're definitely one of my favorite groups. My favorite group probably will be Outkast.
Mm.
But honestly, they're probably Tribe Called Quest is probably a close second for me.
Yeah.
They're probably second. If they're probably second and Wu Tang's probably third, and that order might shift to.
Mm.
But
Yeah.
yeah, man, Tribe Called Quest was just different, man, and I think that they had a huge impact with their music, and it's dope to be able to see them finally receive their flowers. Not like they needed it or needed any validation
Yeah.
from anybody, because those who are
Mm.
fans of the culture know the impact of Tribe Called Quest. We actually did a list of hip hop producers, and we should be ashamed of ourselves because we forgot Q-Tip.
We
Um,
definitely forgot Q-Tip.
rapper
Crazy.
rapper producers, man, you have to mention
Mm.
Q-Tip because the production on these songs help make them what they are. And then he
Yeah.
also can rap like Q-Tip
Rap, rap.
bars, you know what I mean? So it's like the best of both worlds when you're talking about Q.
Mm.
He's really high on that rapper producer list. Um,
For sure.
so man, yeah, I think and when we talk about rapper voices, man, I don't think there's no other voice like Q-Tip. Q
Yeah, none. I can't think of one. Yeah.
No, his voice is very distinctive, stands out. And yeah, man, just dope. So yeah, shout out Tribe Called Quest, man. I think that they're well deserving and it's long overdue. So definitely have to shout
Mm.
out to them for getting into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Absolutely,
And
man.
some more
And
fun facts about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame too. We might well drop since we had this discussion off mic about some of the things that we were kind
mm,
of shocked to find out. One is the first female rapper to be inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is Missy Elliott.
yeah, which
Yeah,
is crazy. That should have been like, okay, why isn't like someone like Roxanne Shante, why isn't she in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. Like, obviously, she didn't have as expansive as a career as a Missy Elliott,
yeah.
obviously,
I
right?
think
But like, we can't act like she. You said what?
it's probably commercial success.
Okay, I don't care. Like, she, she. Well, maybe she's more of a hip hop. Hall of Fame entry. I get it, but like an
Yeah,
MC Light to me still had mainstream success.
MC
Not to the
Light.
height of a Missy Elliott, but again, like to me, this is like obvious. You know
But
what I'm saying?
but MC Light has the first. She's the first female rapper to put out a studio album. You know what I mean? Like, so
Yeah,
you're talking about
yeah.
an MC Light. Like, I 100% would agree. I think that MC Light should definitely
Mm,
be on there. Queen Latifah could be on there. You know what I mean?
absolutely. I was about
There's
to say her
definitely,
next.
there's definitely rappers before Missy who I could have seen being inducted. So I definitely would agree there. Um,
Hmm.
then when we talked about the first um group inducted, they got it right there. It was Grandmaster Flash.
They got that right. I think they got that right.
That's the first
Yeah.
rap group to be inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And what they did with the message is what helped spark conscious rap in the mainstream. So that's something that definitely can never be taken for granted,
Hmm.
is the
Yeah.
impact of the message. And then the first solo rapper to receive it who was living, and I got to add that in there because they
Yeah.
a lot of times they induct people after they've passed,
Give
which
them the flowers after they're gone. Absolutely.
yes, when they can't smell them. And the first living one to get it while he was alive was Jay-Z. So think of how many rappers came before Jay-Z.
Like, come on. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of crazy. And it's interesting because you're right. It happened this past weekend. My friend actually was like an organizer at the event. I didn't even think about that or connect the dots. But it's in Cleveland, Ohio. You know what I'm saying? And you would still think Jay-Z? Like, I don't know. Like, he shouldn't be the first living one. Like, that's kind of like an abomination to me a little bit. I feel like there's plenty of other artists that are still living who rap before Jay-Z, not of equal mainstream success, but maybe like still like high significance in music, period, right? That should have received their flowers, like or received then enshrinement into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. It's kind of odd. I have a problem with it,
Yeah.
Dr. McCool. If you can't tell, you know what I'm
I
saying?
can tell.
So
You seem a little hostile, my brother. You know,
yeah, man. Yeah.
no, I'm with you. I'm with you. And the only reason why I don't is because it is the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and these are
Yeah.
world acts. So I don't know what the transition was where they started letting people from other genres get into the rock and roll.
Hmm.
I'm not really sure the history behind that, but at the same
Yeah.
time, I have to agree, man, because like, why? What about Ice Cube? You know what I mean? Why wasn't Ice Cube in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? You know, Nas. Like, there's rappers
Yeah.
who and Nas came out at a similar time frame as Jay-Z, not that much earlier, but
Yeah.
there's just other rappers even that are pre Jay-Z that I'm like, why, who had huge
Yeah.
contribution to music.
Yeah. And I'm confused on like, yeah, when did they start letting other genres in? And what are the qualifications for those outside of rock and roll to even get enshrined into right? I can't be upset if I really don't know the
Yeah.
implications of all that.
Yeah.
So I get it. But Dr. Dre, bro, like I don't know. Like if you can put a Jay-Z in there, he only really had no, he does have like a project with like Linkin Park. I can't say he don't have like rock-esque music, but and he has 99 Problems, which has rock elements, Rick Rubin producing it, obviously too.
Yep.
Yeah. The Beastie Boys, I'm pretty sure the Beastie Boys should be in, right?
Oh,
Or are they in?
the Beats, I'm sure they are.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, maybe Earl's just upset because he's upset, bro. I don't know. But you feel me? But
It be like
we'll
that
see.
sometimes, man.
I can admit when I'm wrong. You
Put
know what I'm
some
saying?
put some respect on these hip hop artists, man. Early,
For
you know
sure.
what I mean.
Earlier.
Do it earlier, man. It shouldn't take 2024 for y'all to put Tribe Called Quest on there.
Come on, bro. Come on.
They could have
Yeah.
been on there 10 years ago. You know,
Literally, easily. Yeah.
10 years.
Because like what was the last album while they were all living? It had to have been The Love Theory, right? Because they came out with a project, but I feel like that was after Five Pass or maybe
Yeah, the
um
Love Moment was I think the last one with Fife Alive. I think
yeah,
Fife was probably on the last one that they made, which was in 2016, but I think
yeah.
it came out after he had passed.
I
So
think so. And what did I say? The Love Theory? It's the Love Movement.
the
What did I
Love
say?
Movement.
Yeah.
And I
Okay.
can't Love Movement was in 1998.
Yeah, 98,
I
bro.
was 5 years old. So it's like, why, you know,
Yeah.
25
Yeah.
years. It shouldn't take 20. Like, it's ridiculous. But
Right. Ridiculous.
a shout out to Tribe, man. At least they got their flowers. Why
Facts.
why they were able to appreciate it. And they deserve all the love that they give for it. So shout out to them.
All of it.
Man, another topic that came up in my class, and shout out to Brandon, our producer, who's also in my
Yes,
hip
sir.
hop. One of our topics for this week is hip hop and politics. And not only just hip hop and politics, but hip hop and politics and also hip hop and war, and how hip hop artists have
Mm.
spoken against politics, the government, and also having to go to war and the hypocrisy of Black people in this country being drafted in different wars and having to go fight for a country that they're not respected and appreciated in. So
Mm.
that's one of the biggest talks that we've had in the class, and with the presidential election around the corner, and I don't know about you, but I've never been more ready for an election to be over with in my life. I'm not gonna lie.
No facts though.
Bro, I've never like the amount of texts, the amount of mail, the amount of email, the amount of contact. I am so ready for this election to be over, bro. Like,
How did y'all get my number? Like, I'm still
bro,
perplexed.
I need y'all to wrap
Perplexed.
this up. I need y'all to wrap this.
Yes.
I'll hurry up and get this done, man. But with that being
Mhm.
said, what do you think that rap artists should drop political music or a politically driven music around this time? Because we haven't really gotten much of it around this election. Do you think that they should?
I think certain artists who built their platforms on being socially conscious, I feel they don't need to, but I feel like it would be maybe in their best interest to. I think if that's something that you've built your brand on, why wouldn't you? This is an opportunity to inform, or if not inform, at least let people know where you stand on issues that they may be split or divided on. I feel like a Killer Mike, for example, I could see making something with substance on the issue, even if I don't agree with it, which I agree with a lot of stuff it says. There's a lot of things I don't agree with it, but I appreciate his perspective, and I think that like brings the conversation back to hip hop listeners who need to hear, who are otherwise either not registered, not thinking about it, or don't care about, the political sphere. I think it's important. And it is a responsibility to an extent. It just has to be the right messenger. Where I think things go left is when you have people that are essentially like you have presidential candidates picking out said artists who are just popular, right? And then using them as a pawn to for their agendas to be spread among their fan base. I think that's where it goes left. And I think that's happening is always happened. But I myself have noticed it more recently in the last 4 to 8 years. And I think that's where hip hop artists, I would say some handful have really disappointed me, bro. So, what do you think about that?
Man, I agree. I don't necessarily think it's their obligation to do so.
Hmm.
But I think that their perspectives are definitely appreciated, but only like you said, certain rappers. I
Hmm.
think the rappers that have been known to be more culture critics and speak on these different social issues within their music in depth and have a unique perspective. The Kendrick Lamars, the Most
Hmm.
Defs, the Killer Mikes, like
Yeah.
these type of rappers who have made thought provoking music. I think that
Hmm.
their perspectives are definitely appreciated. If you've made some level of thought-provoking music, I think that people look forward to hearing what their perspectives are about politics in the landscape of America, and I think that it's in the world. The
Hmm.
Lupe Fiascos, like these type of artists who are
The
very
Dead Prez,
the
yeah.
Dan Prez, who are introspective and who are synonymous with presenting music that is thought provoking. I think that those artists are the ones that people want to hear from and during these times, and I
Yeah.
agree. One conversation that we ended up having in class was why how politicians are using, I've written about this too, is how politicians are using hip hop artists to try to reach their audience. They're pretty much doing target marketing, you know what I mean? And they're trying
Hmm.
to reach their audiences and to galvanize more people and voters. And I think that that's corny. And I've always thought that that was corny.
Yeah.
There's no point, and it's been going on forever. Whether you're looking at the Obama campaign with "My President is Black" and all of that, they've
Hmm.
been. I think that was kind of the start of hip hop and like endorsing politicians to that degree. It's been done before, but when it's like a
Yeah.
full song endorsing a politician or a political candidate, I think that that kind of is like the first time I remember that
Yeah.
happening. You have people criticize presidents and
Yeah.
politicians, but the first time where it was like this is a whole theme song that we're making to push a presidential candidate, I think that that was
Mm,
the earlier moments of that in hip hop. And I think that since then, I think that, unfortunately, we've seen it on all sides, Democrat,
yeah.
Republican, Independent. And I think that when you're being paid for your message, it kind of, I'm not gonna say it doesn't legitimize it to me. Because
Mm,
you're being paid. You're an ad essentially, you know.
mm, yeah.
That is,
Yeah. Like,
yeah.
oh yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say that's not what I like to see. So that I don't.
Yeah.
But songs that actually evoke thought, like Killer Mike has a song called Reagan, which is probably one of the best songs that I've heard
Yeah.
speak about the war on drugs, and like Dead Prez has songs, and even people who have criticized political candidates like Georgia Bush by Lil Wayne, and like there are
Yeah.
these songs where people have um went deep into criticizing politicians, and I think politicians are meant to be criticized more than anything. So,
Yeah. And like even with Nipsey and YG F Donald Trump, like for me that doesn't really it's I appreciate like the effort. I don't like really like the song though. But I appreciate that they, what I'm saying, that they
yeah,
did that though.
that was so, and I added that to my classes playlist
Mhm.
intentionally just to galvanize. It's not a song that I necessarily love as far as like the
Yeah,
song. It's funny though.
it is funny.
It's catchy. But
You know what I mean? But
even
like I think oh yeah, I was just gonna say I think when people it's corny, bro. Like the fact that, like I don't even know, I don't even remember when this was. I feel like it was 2020 when, presidential candidate Donald Trump was brought on Little Pump at, like, come on, bro. Or like even doing it outside of the realm of hip hop, but like still hip hop with Amber Rose's involvement, or with presidential candidates going to like, certain hip hop radio stations that aren't really provoking actual messages or or asking the right questions that really speak to what the people's needs, or even regarding their policy, and are instead talking about like rumors and unnecessary fodder. Like I don't really respect it. I get it. You're trying to hit a market or like trying to reach people wherever they're at. I think it's also disappointing that that's happening and that artists are agreeing to it, but I also think it's disappointing to see that us as consumers, we rely on certain platforms or certain publications to garner our news. Like the fact that presidential candidate Kamala Harris or Vice President Kamala Harris is going on podcasts like Call Her Daddy, like what are we getting out of this, bro? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like this is stupid. Or presidential candidate Donald Trump is going on Kyson or not Kyson, not Aiden Ross's stream.
right.
Like we got presidential candidates on stream, like with
It,
streamers, bro. Like we're in an odd age, bro, in
we're in
media.
an odd age, bro, and to me, it just I think there's the new generation is finally starting to view it as what it is, which is just corny, and I think that
Yeah.
whether it's Donald Trump posing with a Kodak Black or using any of these rappers, or whether it's um, Kamala Harris bringing out a Meg Thee Stallion to twerk at a rally. Like it's all, and some of my students mentioned that moment in the class, and I think that it's just they're. I think the younger generation is finally starting to be like, okay, like talk to us about politics. Talk to us about your
Right.
policy and what you're going to do for the country. We don't need the theatrics that come along with it.
Hmm.
I think that we're finally getting to a point where people don't want to see that. Um, people want to hear about your policy and what you're going to do for the country, how you're going to lead this country,
Right.
and put the country in a better position. I don't think people are at a spot where they're like, okay, you like my favorite rapper likes you, I like you. I think that it's
Right.
almost a challenge to people's intelligence.
That's what I was about to say. It's almost like they're undermining people's intelligence because you can see straight through it. I mean, there's no reason why presidential candidate Donald Trump is rubbing shoulders with Philly's own OT7 Kwani. Like, that makes no sense, bro. And you know it. It's not genuine. And if someone is divided on what candidate or candidates to go with, I don't think that's going to even salvage your campaign or sway them into favoring you because you're hanging out with a rapper they happen to listen to. That's just not, you're insulting the American people by doing that, to be honest.
That's honestly how I feel about it. And we also had a discussion in the classroom about why this election, this generation of socially conscious rappers, the ones at the forefront being undeniably, and I think most people would agree, the conscious rappers of this generation who are the most respected are Kendrick Lamar and J. Cole.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a discussion about why those two artists haven't done it. You haven't heard them in
Mm,
the election um, really co-sign any political candidate.
mm.
Um, and, I,
Yeah.
and I think that's telling. Why do you think that is?
I just think, I can't really call it. I think the simple thought for me, like just based on what I have been seeing and even what I haven't been hearing or seeing, is the fact that the truth may be that they don't support either end, which would be interesting. But I will also want to hear why. You know what I'm saying? Again, you're right. It's not their responsibility. They're not obligated to give us um, that type of music or information or insight into what they're thinking. But it is important to some people, at least some. I think it's worth exploring. But if they don't, it's their choice too. But I think like based on what I've been seeing and what I haven't been seeing, I would just say that they may not be in support of either end.
Yeah, I'm in agreement too. And also, even another one is that's even a little bit younger in that generation, like a Chance the Rapper. You haven't heard him, and he's been very.
Yeah.
You haven't heard him say anything and really
Mm.
advocate for any political candidate either. And what I think it is that, and this is the point that I brought up to my class too, is I think that think about this. What if you go out and you advocate and you campaign? If you're a Chance the Rapper, Kendrick Lamar, or J. Cole, and you advocate for a politician, and then they go off and do something egregious. What is that? How does that look on
Mm.
your legacy?
Mm.
And
Yeah.
you told all your fans, your millions and millions of followers and listeners and supporters that hey, go vote for Donald Trump or hey, go vote for Kamala Harris. Um,
Mm.
what does that then do? What does that do if they go and take a we end up in war and they do something egregious that the people disagree with or whatever the case may be
Mm.
on whatever
Yeah.
issue? What does that then do to the people?
Mm.
And how does what stain does that leave on your legacy? So I think that it's a
Yeah.
little riskier, and I think that they're thinking a little bit longer term than maybe some other artists are about their legacies. That's just my.
Yeah. That's,
I have no evidence to prove this
yeah.
theory.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
theory of mine of this. Maybe they don't have enough faith in either of these candidates to really fully be like, "Hey, this is the person." And
Right.
they don't want to risk it. Maybe.
Yeah. And the part that if this is possible, if this is true, that would disappoint me too, among our favorite artists, like, or the most impactful conscious artists in both Kendrick and J. Cole, if they were like, oh, I don't want to say anything because I don't want to divide my fan base or lessen my status as an artist. I don't feel like they would think that or have that thought because they've tackled so many things that would have otherwise did that in the past anyway.
Correct.
But if another artist is thinking of that, I kind of look at them a certain way because it's like, yo, like there's power in the messages that you could like, uh bring to form. You know what I'm saying, on the musical end. So yeah, man. I don't know. I want this to be over, bruh. It's just like I'm over it, dog. I know you feel the same way, bruh.
Over it,
Yeah.
bro. I am over it. Please stop sending me mail and text messages. The one thing I wonder with this marketing, I wonder if there's anybody in the history who's ever changed their political opinion from a text message.
If yo, if they have, that might be why these presidential candidates are going on these goofy shows, bro, because they're speaking to those people. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
to the person who a text message can sway for sure, because that is leave us alone. Okay. It's to the point where
Yo,
I blocked one of them and then they send it from another number.
oh yeah, they're gonna get their
I was like,
message too.
oh, you're
Yeah.
gonna give me this text from rain, sleet, hell, snow. Huh?
For sure. Like I think it was reported that VP Kamala Harris has like raised like nearly $1 billion like for her campaign for president. Clearly, bruh. I get 5 texts per hour. It feels like 5 calls a day, dog. Like I see where this money going to.
Bro, I see where it's going to on both sides. I'm like, bro, I
Yeah.
don't know if I. So I guess we got to blame Elon Musk for Trump's text, and I got to blame the AKAs. For,
Yes, yes, bro. That's who I'm taking aim
shout out to the
at.
K's, but I got to blame y'all for all these texts I'm
I
getting.
blame y'all. I love y'all, but I blame y'all for sure.
Ah, man, for sure, bro.
Um,
Hey, episode 16.
Another banger, man. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, man. We did it again, man. And make sure y'all are following us, man, at Rap and Reason on Instagram, on TikTok, Rap and Reason. Also, make sure y'all are subscribed to the YouTube channel. And we're continuing to put out content there. Please make sure you hit subscribe, hit the notification button on there so that you're receiving constant notifications. If you listen on audio platforms such as Spotify and Apple, give us a rating, man.
Let's do it.
Yeah,
Yes, you
show
should
some
do it.
love. Show some love, man. And we'll keep coming back every Wednesday, and giving you these episodes, man, and these reviews.
Yes,
Yes.
sir, man.
All
Until
right.
next time, brother.
Until next time. Peace.